Hi, it's Todd from Todd's Workshop here, and I've made this. So it is a 15th century German war bow. It could very easily be a hunting bow as well. Stylistically, they look very similar. So I'm just going to talk you around it, and then we're going to go shoot it. So what we've got here is a cherry stock. Very often they were of pear, but the reason that they're pear is it's easy to carve, it's easy to inlay and so on, because obviously you've got this going on here. I happen to favour cherry, but you have a cherry stock here. Then you've got horn plates inlaid at the side here. So they're obviously shaped in to give that very characteristic, curvy, very feminine shape, I suppose, really, that the stocks have. And then inlaid inside of the horn and inside of the wood is this channel of bone going front and back here. Now, the way the bone works, or the bow works, is you've got this little bridge at the front here that the bolt sits on. So if you can see there, it doesn't actually engage with the stock. And the reason it doesn't engage with the stock is it reduces the friction. Reduce friction, more of the power of the bow goes into the bolt itself. So it's something that you really try and do with bows. Generally speaking, you do not drag the string heavily across the stock. So the string does not do that. So if you look at that, it's just touching, really. Now, we come back to the nut here. This is made of an antler crown. Now, often, and I usually do, they were made of steel. They could be made of brass or bronze. Historically, they were usually of ivory or of antler crown. That is a material that is really hard to get now. Ivory obviously is completely out, and then the antler crown itself is hard to get in the size that you need it to be. So generally I run metal nuts. This one, however, is antler. And the antler itself, of course, is not going to be strong enough to resist the power of the bow, because all of the power is going through the nut and the trigger system itself. So you insert a hardened steel sear here, and then you can just see either side, there are a couple of pins there. They come up and they pass through the actual lugs of the nut itself, the fingers of the nut. So in that way you're trying to strengthen everything up. The nut itself is running in a semicircular hollow, and then it's just held in place with these waxed cords here. So there's not any force on the nut coming upwards. Really all those cords are doing are just stopping it spinning out after you've shot it. So they're not taking the force of the bow itself. What is happening is it's between the trigger and the string, and it's actually forcing this nut down into the socket at about 45 degrees, something like that. Linen string on the front here, hemp bindings, so those you have to put on super, super tight. So, I mean, you can hear it's just string, but you can hear how solid it is. And then we've got this woven leather decoration at the front here. That's all it is. It serves no function at all, this black weave, except for decoration itself. Now the bow itself, they were obviously or often very highly decorated. This is one of my faux composites, so it's actually a steel bow that I've dressed up to look like a composite. But this one's got a hemp canvas cover on it, two-tone paint. The reason I've done this is it's customer's request. These are the background colours. There's going to be a heck of a lot of painting all over the top of this, and the rather garish colours as they stand at the moment are going to get knocked right back into the distance and just form a background to it. So that's the bow itself. This one's running at about £380, something like that. And you rotate the nut forward. Oh, actually I did forget to say, we have two sets of lugs here. This bow has been set up to use a goat's foot lever. However, into the future, the client might want a craniquin, so he's requested the craniquin lugs as well. Bows were never made back at the time with both of these features here. If he moves to a craniquin, the goat's foot lug can simply get knocked out and a shorter pin put in, and it'll just look like a trigger axle as ever. So, goat's foot lever, and that just comes up, goes onto the bow, making sure it's central on the string. You'll find after you shot it a couple of times, there's a dent in the string anyway, so you know exactly where to place it. And the bolt clip is out of the way. Very often in museums, and in the original that this was based on, the bolt clip is broken. And it's broken because it's a relatively fragile object, so you need to make sure it's out of the way. So pull back, push down, triggers in, the bolt clip comes in, so the back of the bolt just comes under there. And you can see now how it's suspended and it is not touching the deck at all. Gives maximum power to the bow. Bolt clips came in around about 1500, something like that. Before that they weren't here. So obviously now I can shoot it down at the ground, that's fine, but actually you can always put your thumb on the back of the bolt in a way. It doesn't hurt, it just gets knocked out by the string. And here we go. And don't forget, if you like this kind of stuff, go check the websites out, because if you like this, you'll love them. So, late 15th century into the early 16th century, German hunting or war bow. There you have it.